Thanks for joining us. We are excited to be here for the 6th episode. It's our 6th.
It is the 6th episode.
This is exciting.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna stay in hiding because you're gonna introduce our guest today.
Okay, I'm going to introduce our guest. We have a very special guest, a friend of mine, and her name is Jessica Turner. She's an author, she's a mom, she's an amazing woman. She has done so much, and we are so excited to hear her story. And I cannot wait for y'all to hear it because you're going to be blown away.
Oh, gosh. Thanks so much for having me, you guys. I'm so glad to be here.
And Jessica's kind enough to share her camera with me because we had a camera go out there. But Jessica, it's great to have you at the studio.
I'm so thankful to be here. What a treat. I do podcasts every week, and it's rare that I get to be in person with the host that I'm
that's cool.
So
well, we like that a lot.
And this is the most amateur one you've done so far, right?
No, it is not. It's not the most amateur. So
you came from a school event with one of the kids, and you had some unexpected tears. What happened today?
Oh gosh, so I have 3 kids. My oldest will be 17 this summer, and he'll be a junior. And then my middle girl, she'll be starting her freshman year next year. And my littlest, he's in 4th grade, so he's kind of the tail end of elementary school. And their school does this wax museum where they're famous figures from the Revolutionary War period, and you tap a little circle on their hand, and they do a little speech. And so all of my kids have done it, and he's my last one, and he did his, and I started crying, and his dad was like, "It's going to be okay." I'm like, "We're at the end of the baby years," you know. So definitely was feeling my feelings here this morning.
And let's go to the second one with tears today.
Me too. This is an emotional day for us all. Like, what is going on?
I think it's Maysember. I think
Maysember.
we're just crashing out from Maysember, and so it's coming out in our emotions.
Andy graduated from preschool today, and I was just a mess. But the only thing that saved me was like, I have to run to go do this podcast, so I have to focus, and I'm too busy to be sad. But as soon as I leave here, it's going to be
tears again.
Yeah. So thank you for helping me keep it together.
Yes, well, and I'm happy to tell you it doesn't get easier as they get older.
Well, I'll tell you, just trying to get all our schedules together to get this taken care of. It was you had to do some hustle yourself, so we appreciate you.
Well, I'm thankful to be here for sure.
I want to talk about that because you do so much, and I don't know how you. 3 kids, a published author. You're on a book tour right now. I mean, are you touring right now, or are you just?
I'm finished. Okay. Yeah, so finished doing the travel for the book, but it's been a very busy season. I'm a full-time content creator, and I've been actually in the blogging online business since 2006, so a really long time. And I'm coming up on, gosh, I don't even know, I think 3 years full-time as a content creator, and then, it takes so long to write a book, so I finished it last year in the spring, and then it came out this year. It's called I Thought It Would Be Better Than This.
Well, let's go ahead and show the book.
Maybe we should launch right into that perfect segue.
There is the book. I Thought It Would Be Better Than. It's an interesting title, and I think a lot of people, without even opening the page or the cover, can relate to just that sentence like that, because so much of our world, we have this idealistic world that we go into, and often we're sent on a different path, and you certainly were sent on a different path.
Yeah, well, that's why I wrote the book, because we all have something in our life that we thought it would be better than, whether it's our career or our finances or relationships or something about ourselves. And if we don't feel that way, we will feel that way. It's just universal. And so the book is really about meeting people where they are in their disappointment. The subtitle is Rise from Disappointment, Regain Control, and Rebuild a Life You Love. And my story is that during the pandemic, my husband of 16 years came out. And we decided that a mixed orientation marriage was just not going to work. After a lot of wrestling, he came out to me in the fall of 2019, and it wasn't until June of 2020 that he moved out, right in the middle of the pandemic. And he lives just down the street. We have a great relationship, a great co-parenting relationship, but he was all I ever knew, and I met him in college, and so my whole adulthood had been kind of framed around being married and being a mom, and so I really went on a journey of self-discovery, and so it uses my story as kind of a unifying device throughout the book to help people identify and talk about their own disappointment, really name it, really name if there's other disappointment around that. Like, it wasn't just, I thought it would be better than this for my marriage and relationship, but then there were 100 other griefs that I had, 1,000 other griefs that I had when my marriage ended. And so coming to terms with all of that and then writing a story that I still loved and was proud of, even though it's different than what I expected it to be. And the reviews and stories that I've been hearing from people just in the past month that it's been available has been so humbling and just wow. Just really blown me away.
You said the perfect sentence. We all have situations where we thought it would be better than this. Expectations. But I think that's part of life, right? Like we have these expectations, they always fall short. But then sometimes the falling short is where we're supposed to be. And then you look back and you say, oh, that makes sense now. Are you able to look at it through that lens now of, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm happy that it didn't turn out this way. How are you able to look at it like that?
Sure, and I think hindsight is always 20/20. You know, like there's always going to be things that we can look back and see the growth that has happened. If I hadn't gone through this hard time, there's a story that I tell in the book. You know, it's kind of the tail end of peony season here in Nashville. And peonies are my favorite.
We love peonies here.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah, there's some upstairs right
so
now.
much. The cool thing about peonies is that they thrive when there's a cold, hard winter.
Yeah.
And if you have a mild winter, your peonies are not going to be great in the spring. You actually need that cold, you need that dark for them to really flourish. And I think that's true of life, that when we go through difficult seasons, a lot of times that allows us to grow and flourish then in other seasons of our life because of what we learned, what we went through. But that doesn't make it less painful or, difficult. So certainly I can say now that, gosh, I'm grateful that I came through my divorce and the healing journey of that because of who I am now and the way that I've grown and changed and where I am. I'm in a very happy relationship now and all of those things, but that doesn't make it less painful, the story and the journey that I had.
Divorce is hard, as I can attest, under the best circumstances. You literally had the rug pulled out from under you and something that you couldn't change, you couldn't control. It has to make you question every single relationship with every single person in your life, and you have to look back on when you met Matthew, right? Mm-hmm. When you met him and question everything up to that point of separation or the point where you came out.
You can do that, or you can just let it be, because what good does it do to question every single thing? Like at some point, I needed to stay really present in where I was right now and move forward instead of, really dwelling in the past. And I think that comes with forgiveness, not just for Matthew, but for myself, because there was a season of real tenderness where I was like, how did I not know this? Like, how didn't I pick up on this? This is the person that's closest to me, And the reality is I did the best with the information that I had, and he didn't want me to know that, right? And so I had to be gracious to myself and forgive myself. And I think often in times of disappointment in situations like divorce, it's just as important to forgive ourselves as to forgive other people.
I totally understand that, actually. And it's very healthy, actually, in a way to focus on the kids, focus on the things that you can control in your life, right?
That's right.
Talk about forgiveness more, because I cannot imagine how difficult that was. But you said something, I was reading something you said the other day about how forgiveness is more for yourself than for others. Mm-hmm. But how did you get to that point?
Honestly, people ask me that question a lot, and I wish I had a better answer, because it wasn't hard. It really wasn't that hard for me to forgive him. Matthew grew up entrenched in Christian fundamentalism. He was not raised in an environment where it would have been okay for him to look at who he was in an objective manner, I think. And I remember when he came out to our kids, my little girl was, I think, 8 at the time, and she said, "Daddy, if you're gay, why did you marry Mommy?" I was like, that is an excellent, astute question.
Yeah, and the little ones always kind of hit it nail on the head, right? They don't beat around the bush. They have no finesse. They just go, right. Here we go.
And so Matthew said, "Adeline, because I fell in love with your mommy." Like, I think that was very, very true. Matthew and I had a love that was real. I don't think Matthew could ever love another woman, certainly wouldn't pursue a woman now. But what we had was true. And so I think that was helpful for me in kind of untangling all of this. But again, the choice of being unforgiving or forgiving, I think it's always better to choose forgiveness. Unforgiveness is poison. It will wreak havoc not only on you, but on all of your relationships. And so that was just not a posture that I wanted to live with. And so moving forward in terms of being forgiving and having a lot of grace was just the manner I wanted to move forward in.
So you wrote the book, and you're very honest in the book that you felt terrible for a while because you were the one who kind of told them to go public with this, to come out, and in return he didn't receive the love he got at home. He received a lot of hate, and you felt terrible about that, and you had to reconcile that in your mind as well.
Yeah, it was really important to me that because we were getting divorced, and Matthew and I both have public figures. We both have large online presences. We're both authors. That I wanted to say the why, because I felt like there would be such immense pressure if we didn't, and that we would still be kind of living under the veil of not being honest. And the fact was we were getting divorced because Matthew was gay, because he wanted to be in a relationship with a man. And that was going to happen eventually, even though it wasn't going to happen, initially when we first were getting divorced. And so it was really important to me that that all happened at once, for our healing journey, for honesty. I just think the truth sets you free, right? And so he did agree to do that, but there was a lot of online vitriol and hate. We are not really in relationship with his family at all, and that was something that he was really worried about, that they would kind of disown him. And so that has been really hard to navigate, but we both agree, and I can't speak for Matthew, you guys can have him on the podcast, but I do think that we both agree that it was the best choice. And I talk about in the book the idea of imperfect choices, because so often when we're faced with a really hard decision, either path is not the perfect one, right? And I think we've been sold some lies that we have to make the perfect choice and do everything perfect. And a lot of times the perfect choice is an imperfect one. And so we really had to look at what was the best imperfect choice in this. And I think Matthew being truthful for why we were getting divorced was part of that.
How have your kids been?
They've been great. They really have done so well. I think that's a testament to Matthew and me and our unity, and also raising them in a home that was really inclusive. There wasn't a lot of baggage that they had to unpack there. So they've really done remarkably well.
There's not really a handbook.
There's not a handbook
for this and how to heal with your children. So you're kind of writing your own book in your own personal life as well as the one that you published here too. So it's kind of an ongoing story, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I think just being attentive to what they need, meeting them where they're at. There's certainly been different milestones. I remember when Matthew and I both made the decision to go on the dating apps and start dating. We had a conversation with them in the same room and said, we think it's time for us to start dating. You're not going to be meeting anyone initially or anything like that, but just wanted you to know that, because up until that point, we had tried to do like 2 family meals a week. Well, now we had free nights without kids, and we were starting to do the dating thing, so there was going to be some transition. And so I think the fact that we've just remained really honest with our kids has really made a difference.
Wow. What do you think is next for you guys? I mean, your relationship going to continue to evolve, to grow? I mean, you see each other every day.
We do see each other just about every day. I think that Matthew and I will always remain friends. I think we'll always continue to put our kids first. I don't have a crystal ball, and I've learned not to look too far into the future, but I do know that he'll always be an important part of my story. I think I'll always be an important part of his story. And, as our kids grow and go off and do their own things, I don't know what life will look like, but I'm really proud of the way that we co-parent.
Did he help with the book? Did he know about the book? Has he read the book, I guess? Throw a bunch of questions at you.
He did not help with the book, but he did know about the book when I came up with the idea and decided that I really felt called to write it. I certainly talked with him about it. The book opens, the first chapter, the first words of the first chapter are, "I'm gay." And so he did sign off on that, as we went to pitch it. And then he did read the whole manuscript when it was finished and signed off and approved it for the publisher. But that was really hard. It was really difficult for him to read and face some of the trauma that I talk about in the book that I hadn't really talked about with him. But he has been really gracious in supportive of me telling my story.
It's an incredible story.
It
really
is. And how you've handled it all, how you guys have both come together. And I'm sure he feels so much gratitude towards you that he truly did marry the right person to guide him through this part of life, because I'm not sure everyone would be able to give that kind of grace.
That's really kind of you. I can't speak to if he feels he married the right person, but I do know that he has expressed gratitude and been kind, and we've both. That doesn't mean that there hasn't been anger and frustration and things that we haven't wrestled through. You know, I don't want to paint it that all rainbows and unicorns, but it has
no relationship.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist.
No. Yeah, but we have worked really hard, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. You've gone on and now you're in another relationship now. Your life has, in fact, moved on. You've moved into another season right now. Has that been difficult? You obviously found a very supportive person here who understands where you're coming from, and that's a very wounded place that you came from.
Is this your first real relationship since the divorce? Or?
It's not. Okay. No, it's not. It's been 5 years since we've been divorced, so I've had several relationships. But I think that it's important to acknowledge that I've done a lot of work. So I'm not coming into a relationship wounded. I'm coming into a relationship with some past trauma, but healed from that trauma, and have a lot of growth that has happened. And I think that's an important distinction, because I think if you go into relationships where you haven't done that work and you haven't pursued healing, I think those things are going to flare up. Now, that doesn't mean that when you've been wounded that a scar doesn't ache. I tell this great story in the book where I had a hysterectomy, and with that hysterectomy, I lost one of my ovaries, and that was on my right side. And when I was writing this book, I was noticing I was having a lot of pain on that side. I've also had an appendectomy in that spot. So I literally don't have organs really on the right side of my body. And so I went to my pelvic pain specialist. I said, I'm having all this pain here, but nothing's here anymore. What could possibly be going on? And she said, well, you have scar tissue there. Have you been going through anything stressful? I was like, actually, I've been writing this book about this trauma that I went through. And she said, oftentimes when we're undergoing major stress, our scars can ache. And I thought, wow, that is so profound for life, right? So even when we have scars that have healed, literally the thing is not there anymore, we can still have times where things ache, where something will just hit you just the right way, and it might make you a little more emotional or a little tender. And so certainly I think those moments come up for all of us when we go through hard seasons. But I think that I was very much emotionally ready to be in a relationship, and being with somebody who also has done work and was emotionally ready.
Okay, so you talk a lot about therapy and the self-work that you did, and I'm sure Matthew did as well, but you went to Onsite?
I did.
We love Onsite. We love Miles.
I feel like Onsite's become part of my personality. I love it
They're
so much. Amazing. Yeah, a really life-changing experience. And I acknowledge that Onsite is a privilege to go to. It is a big investment of time and money. And I got to a place several years into my healing journey where I was like, I need to pull a different lever, that I'm still having the same things kind of coming up again and again, and had always wanted to go. And so made it happen. And it was transformative. They say that 6 days at Onsite is the equivalent to 8 months of therapy. And I would say that was true for me. Like, it just really moved the needle.
It's like, put away your phone, put away all communication.
Not just put away, like literally they take it from you. So you have no technology the whole time you're there. There's a group therapy sessions, and it was really phenomenal. And with the book, everyone who buys a copy of I Thought It Would Be Better Than This, they actually get access to a free course. That's a 5-day course on disappointment that I filmed with Onsite's clinical director, because I just wanted everyone to have a taste of Onsite and that therapeutic experience. I'm really glad to include that in the book.
That's pretty great. I wanted to get back to the book as well. While we talk, that's good. She's just a pain.
She's a recurring character in the podcast.
Oh, good. I was like, should I stop talking or not?
No. So the book opens you up to a lot of people reaching out to you that are maybe in a similar situation, maybe not the similar situation, but have similar feelings and stuff like that. What has that been like? Does that put you back in a bad place, or does that help you knowing that you're helping other people?
It is incredibly humbling to know that my story is impacting other people and helping them feel less alone. I'm really good about keeping boundaries of what I will and won't engage with. You know, sometimes people will say, will you have a phone call with me? Or when I come to Nashville, can I meet you for coffee? And that's just a boundary that I have that I always say no to, because I know that it isn't great for my emotional health, my well-being, but I love that I was able to write a book that just helps people feel less alone. I remember Googling my husband is gay and trying to find other stories because I didn't know anyone like me. Now I know when people Google that, they find me. So I'm honored to have created something that is helpful for people, but also this book is not just for those people. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, Mel Robbins endorsed it and said this book will change your life, which is just surreal to me that she said that. But I think that it goes to show like this book can really meet anyone. Somebody told me that they were running a marathon and they broke their ankle in the training and they didn't expect my book to help them. And it did. So I think any kind of disappointment, you're going to find yourself in the pages of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like this hardship that you dealt with, you are affecting and helping so many people with your story who would think like, oh, my husband's not gay. I don't have any relation to this.
Yeah,
but it's not about that.
It's not about that. No. And there's also so much about friendship in the book, which I really love because my family doesn't live in the state. And so I really relied on my community and my friends as I was going through this. So there's a lot about friendship and being a good friend to somebody who's going through a hard time. In the audiobook version of I Thought It Would Be Better Than This, there's a 20-minute bonus conversation with my best friend, Angie. We've known each other for 20 years. We've walked through a lot of grief stories from both of our lives. And I love that it gives people just a taste of that friendship and also just kind of opens their eyes to different ways that you can support friends going through hard times. This is a great book to gift as well. Like if you know somebody going through a hard time, you can feel confident that this is going to be a safe, good book to give people.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like, oh, you think your divorce is tough?
Yeah.
Here, read this.
No. But certainly I do want, people often ask me, what can I do to support somebody or what are good books that you read when you were going through your hard time? And it was difficult for me to advise a book that kind of covered the gamut. Like you can read books on grief or on forgiveness or self-help, rah-rah. And this is kind of all of it. It really straddles the line of memoir and self-help in a way that I think is really special.
When you sat down and said, I want to write this book, was it because you said when you Googled you couldn't find anything like this, you wanted to help other people? Was it because this is going to be therapy for me? Or was it because people need to know this? Like was it all of those things?
I think it was a little bit of all of those things. Actually, my agent had let me go, my literary agent.
I wanted to know. I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah.
We all want to stick it to the man, and you did.
I talked about it a little bit in my interview with the Tennessean. And when she kind of severed ties with me, I a little bit was like, oh, I'm going to write a book then and show you. There was a little bit of that. But at the same time, I had another friend who had a book come out, and her editor at her book signing approached me and said, are you writing right now? Because you really should be writing. And I didn't know if I was far enough along. I don't think it's good to kind of write when you're in the middle of something. But the combination of losing my agent and getting that prompting from that editor. And so I started writing, and like a week or two later, I sent her what I had written. And she was like, this is fantastic. You really should be working on a book right now. So those two different situations, and then feeling in my gut that it was time to start, because it is such a long process. I felt like by the time I signed the deal and a book would be due, I would be in a place where I would feel really comfortable with what I would write. And you record your audiobook, 9 to 12 months after you write the book. Like it has to literally be going to print. That's when they will have you record the audiobook. And so I felt so good. It had been 10 months when I read that book. I was like, yep, I still feel all of this. This all rings true for me. And so that made me feel really confident that it was the right time for this book to be
You had a great voice. So that audiobook would be very soothing, I think, as well as the words, but also the voice.
I totally agree.
Brad wrote a nice article in the Tennessean, and I had a chance to look that over. He talked about all of a sudden your social media blew up. When a lot of times when something like this happens, you literally implode. What's it been like having so many more people kind of latch on to you and feed off your stories and your posts and everything?
It's interesting because people often will say something to the effect of, I came for the deals and I stayed for the stories. And what they mean is, I talk a lot about like great deals at Target or Amazon or like the latest time-saving hack, whatever, those types of things that some might say are more shallow. But then I also write these like really deep, heartfelt, meaningful posts about where I'm at in grief or in love or whatever. Just I'm vulnerably sharing my story. And I think that helps people feel seen. And so it's been really exciting to have the opportunity to meet more people where they are and serve more people. So I'm just so grateful that I get to do this as a career. And overall, it's been wonderful. Certainly there's some not wonderful people, but
wait,
right.
I have to go. I'm going to miss chapel. Please
You're going to miss chapel. So, okay. Yeah. Oh, well, Nikki says goodbye.
I love you all.
Okay.
Jessica, you're amazing.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Nikki. You're on camera right now. Let's
I'm going to miss Andy's. It's her last day. I have to go. I have to be there.
Okay. Mom calls.
Yes,
Mom
I sure
calls.
do.
All right. So we're going to continue here, okay, for just a little bit longer.
We're going to take a selfie right here in the middle of this.
You're going to take a selfie? Okay. Hold on a second. Hi. This is all going into the podcast, by the way, everyone. This is all in there.
I love it.
I'm sorry.
No, do not be sorry.
Thank you for understanding. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Hey,
you're amazing.
Shed some tears for us, okay? Have some fun.
Bye, girl.
All right. See ya. You never know what's going to happen when we work with Nikki.
I love it. Well, part of it is because I was at my son's thing this morning, too, so we started a little late. So,
you talked about you have to give people a little bit of calories and nutrition. So I understand the whole social media stuff. You have to entertain people these days as well, and then you pop them with the meaningful stuff too, and kind of actually is a good formula, right? You have to figure that out though.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's a good formula, but it's the formula that I want to keep living online. I want to be a full, authentic person and not just be sharing one type of content. I like having a wide array of content. There is a saying in social media that the riches are in the niches, but for me, I'm gonna just keep being me, fully myself online, and hopefully that works for a while longer.
What's it like being an influencer? Like when did someone? Do you remember the first time someone called you an influencer?
Gosh, I don't. So I started blogging in 2006. I started working with brands in 2008. Yeah. So it's been a really long time and an evolution. I mean, when I started, mommy blogger was the term, and then, influencer happened, and then funny. Content creator happened. So I think it's more weird, I guess is the right word, when you're like standing in the school playground and they're like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a realtor. Oh, what do you do? I'm a nurse. What do you do? I'm an influencer. And they're like, what? Like, what does that mean?
You're a published author.
So it is nice. I can say author.
I thought I was petting Layla's
name.
Oh,
you definitely were. It was, I think, just my skirt. Okay. So yes, I think it's
okay, Layla, you have to stop, honey.
Layla has feelings.
Stop, Layla. Come here. So my next question is that with all the influence and now that you have so many followers and what do you do next? Like, where do you go from here? Are you writing another book? Have you gotten ideas just based on the feedback of something else you'd like to pursue?
Book writing is my least favorite part of my job. Okay. So I'm definitely going to take a minute before I write another book. I love short form content. I love short form writing. Books take so much time and energy and just life out of you to do really well. So I think it'll be a while before I write my next book. There was 7 years between Stretched Too Thin and this book. So I'm going to take a minute. I do hope that I'm going to start to do more speaking. I love speaking. And so doing more corporate events and speaking, I think is probably what's next for me. And then continuing to just do the work that I love online.
I thought it would be better than this. This book that you've just written is your third, correct?
That's right.
Tell me about the first two, and has this actually led to people finding your other books that you read?
I bet it has led to people finding those other books. My first book was called The Fringe Hours, Making Time for You, and it was a book about self-care for women, and that came out 10 years ago, so it's been a minute. And then my second book was Stretched Too Thin, How Working Moms Can Lose the Guilt, Work Smarter, and Thrive. And so this feels like the next appropriate step for me to write about. It definitely is my most personal book. I think it's my best written book as well. I've grown a lot as a writer in the past decade. So I'm excited for people to discover this book. And I think if people have read my earlier books, they are going to be pleasantly surprised with what they find. And I thought it would be better than this.
Where do we find this book?
You can find it locally if you're in Nashville at Parnassus. And Draper James, I believe, has some as well. And online, you can find it at Amazon, Target.com. You can request it at any indie bookstore if they don't have it in stock. Or on Audible, Libro FM, or you can even listen to it for free on Spotify and Amazon Music.
I was, and you protect your kids' identity and their privacy, and I love that. I do the same thing with my 2 daughters, as much as I can. But what's it like raising 3 kids? I mean,
it is fun and wild and exhausting and exhilarating and emotional, especially with the stages that my kids are in. You know, we're really in kind of the teen years and kind of the end of the like young years
Right.
with my youngest going into 5th grade. So it's something different every day. It's a lot of work. I mess up, but I try to do well every day and start fresh every day. I love being a mom. I feel like I'm one of those women that was just made to be a mom. And so I really feel like I'm thriving, and seeing them thrive and grow and start to spread their wings is really exciting for me.
It's really exciting. But every time the youngest reaches that milestone,
Don't
that
get
you
me started.
celebrated with the 2 older ones.
That's right.
It's a lot. Like my youngest now getting her driver's permit. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening?
No, I can't.
What
I
is
just
going
have one
on?
driver, and that's enough for me. Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much for having
it's
me.
Really, the book, I can't wait to read it. I usually read these before, but we kind of
did
scheduled
this so
last
fast.
minute.
Yeah, I know Nikki got it, but now you've got your copy.
The story is fascinating, and the way you've dealt with it is remarkable.
Thank you.
And I imagine you just have to sit there and pinch yourself every once in a while going, this is, wow, like, I can't believe this is my life right now.
I can't. And it's wild how much can change. You know, I mean, 6 years ago, I never would have imagined any of this. And I just think taking life day by day and staying present, staying grateful, and knowing that if you are in the middle of something hard right now, that it isn't going to remain hard and dark forever is an encouragement that I love to give people.
You leave the end in the middle of the in your name and the title. Do you leave that there for a reason? Is there a story behind that?
Well, JessicaTurner.com is a porn site, but that wasn't the answer you were expecting.
That was not the answer.
Yeah.
First of all, I was going to say never Google what to do if my husband's gay, because the responses you would get are not good. But I did not know this.
Yeah, so
I'm
the
actually
N
proud to
is-
say I did not know that.
Yeah, the N is very important. So JessicaNTurner.com will
Okay.
get you to my site. Do not go to JessicaTurner.com. That is a very different site.
I'm so glad I asked that.
Yeah,
actually,
there you go.
In a
Yeah,
strange way there. So
it's a fun way to end.
best wishes to you, and we'll
Thank
follow
you.
up sometime too. And I know you have
Thanks.
another book in you, and I know that this is going to help a lot of people. I can
Thank
just
you so
tell
much.
by
Yeah.
your empathy. So
Thank you.
Very good.
All right.
And for Nikki, we say goodbye and thank you for joining us this week on Not the News. And we'll be back next week with who knows what, and who knows what's going to happen. So I'm going to have fun editing this together.
Yeah,
and see
you are.
exactly how it's going to look. So good deal. Thank you.
Awesome.